breathe underwater.
Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. This show is about this brother named Tony, right? He was one of the guys, most of my stories are about the guys anyway, right? Because that's who I hung around with for all the years that I was in rotation, right? But anyway, this show is about this guy named Tony. Tony got out like a lot of guys do in the United States when they finish their sentence, right? About 600,000 people get out of the penitentiary every year in the whole United States, right? And everybody's got a plan of what it is that they want to do when they get out, right? So Tony, he was thrown off a little bit as far as what he wanted to do. He was just unsure. But he was flattening his sentence, so he didn't have to put in a home plan and a job plan and all of those types of things that you have to do to make parole. He was flattening his sentence, so he get out and he go do whatever he wanted to do. Now, they did talk to him, try to find out what it is that he wanted to do to see if they could offer him any kind of resources to help get him pushed on through that, right? They got resources where you can get in, go back to school and stuff like that if you want to, right? But not everybody takes them up on that, right? So Tony gets out and he goes on about his business. He's got him a job working, doing construction and all of those types of things. And he's just not satisfied. He's not satisfied with any of those types of things because it's making him money. He's getting the money that he wants, right? But he's not fulfilled, right? He was one of those type of individuals that he liked the streets. He liked the thrill of what was going on in the streets, right? But he knew he didn't want to sell no drugs. He knew he didn't want to be no stick-up kid. He knew he didn't want to do anything like that. But it was something about Tony that was different from everybody else. Tony was a trickster. He was the type of dude, he liked to trick you. He got high off of the con. You understand what I'm saying? So one day Tony was sitting at the house watching TV, you know what I'm saying? And look, when he was looking at TV, he saw this guy that had gotten arrested for impersonating a police, right? Now listen to what I just said. He saw this guy on TV that had just gotten arrested for impersonating a police. But this guy that got arrested for impersonating the police, he got arrested because he was actually pulling people over on the interstate, writing them tickets, you feel what I'm saying? Or getting them to give him cash or confiscating something out of their car, getting a dough or anything like that, right? And then he would let them go. So one day while this guy had pulled somebody over, the state trooper rides by. State trooper rides by and he sees it. He don't recognize the car because it's a civilian car. So he stops to render assistance because he sees that this guy is dressed in a uniform. But these people are trained. So when he gets out of the car, he walks up to the car and he asks the officer, he said, everything going all right? And this guy that's impersonating the police, he's like, yeah, real professional. Like he's rehearsed and all this and that, right? But the officer, the real state trooper, he looking, he sees that something ain't right. Something ain't right here. So he's like, oh, okay then. He said, well, you have a nice day. So he goes, get back in his car, but he calls it in. He calls in the license plate. He calls in the name of the guy that's faking that he has on his shirt. He calls all that in and nothing is matching. So the state trooper being real cool about it, he looks to make sure that, the person that he has pulled over is not in any danger, right? So he pulls off. But when he pulls off, he pulls out in front of the dude's car so he couldn't get away because he's finna get out and confront him. So he gets out of the car and he asked him, he said, may I see your ID? So the officer said, what's going on? The fake officer. He said, what's going on? He said, I just want to see your ID, sir. He's not calling him officer anymore. And dude, he knows that the gig is up, right? So he just he said, man, I ain't no officer. Just straight like that. So the state trooper tells me, put your hands behind the back. And he puts handcuffs on him. Didn't resist or anything. The gig was up. You know what I'm saying? And then he tells the person that was sitting there that he had pulled over, you can leave. And they arrest him. Now, Tony's watching this on TV, right? He sees this dude and he hearing this story and the light bulbs go off in his head like he really just a smart dude and he got a way that this guy that didn't have, right? Or some kind of angle he wants to work. And he was like, nah, dude did that all wrong. He said he shouldn't have been out pulling people over like that. You feel what I'm saying? He said he should have stayed in neighborhoods where, the low income. He wanted to take advantage of people. That's what he wanted to do. He gonna take advantage of people. So he decided what he gonna do. He gonna go into the neighborhood where you got a lot of the Mexican brothers and sisters, where they live, right? Because he knew that a lot of them were migrants, right? And see, they can't run to the police like that, and the police are not in those neighborhoods like they are in every other neighborhood, right? You understand what I'm saying? Y'all get what I'm trying to say? He wanted to take advantage of somebody that didn't have the protections that everybody else might have. Put it that way, right? So he's riding through. He done went through research, and he done got him a uniform at the surplus place. And when he did all of that, he gets him a uniform at the surplus place. Now he got the badge. He got him a fake ID because he gonna make sure that he ain't gonna have the same problem that dude had. Because when the state trooper asked him for an ID card, he didn't have a police ID. Now, even though it's fake, he's still gonna get him one, right? He gets the fake ID card for the police. He got the fake badge. He got a fake gun, and even a fake gun to get you violated if you're a felon. So keep that in mind, y'all. Anybody out there that's listening to this and might get some wild ideas and thinking you want to try this, God don't recommend it at all. You understand what I'm saying? He's got everything that in it. He even got the blue lights and the red lights in it for his car, right? And he ain't even driving no nice car, no Impala, nothing like that. He driving an old, late, Toyota. What police is driving a Toyota? You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, well, maybe some undercovers do. I don't know. But I've been in here so long, I couldn't tell you, right? But here's the thing. He got everything that he needs for his cable. So he's riding around in these neighborhoods, and he done his research because he makes sure that he's not riding around when he sees other police anywhere close to the neighborhood that he's going to be hitting, right? This is his hunting ground. So he riding through, and he sees some young guys, hanging out. And he knows when he sees gang members. You understand? Because he's been in the penitentiary, he knows what it looks like. He knows what to look for. So he sees these younger guys, and they all tatted up, and they got their bandanas on and all this and that. So he pulls over. He said, "Hey, let me talk to y'all." And he pulls them over. He's just testing the water, y'all. He pulls them over. And then they say, "Yeah, what's up, man? What you stop us for?" He said, "Oh, no, I just wanted to stop and talk to you, see how you were doing, make sure that everything's okay." So these young guys, they gang members, right? But they seasoned. They've been through juvie. They been some of them been in the penitentiary and done got out. It ain't nothing that they want to talk to a police about. So he's standing there talking to him and everything, and then they get to looking at him and like, "Man, can we go?" And he was like, "Yeah." He said, "But let me see some ID before you leave, right?" Ain't none of them got no ID. So they all strike out running in different directions. He don't even bother to chase them. He don't bother to chase them because really all he was doing, he was trying to see if he could really make them believe that he's a police officer. And by them scattering like that, it made him think, "Oh yeah, they believe me. They believe me." But see, he didn't understand the dynamics of everything, but that's okay. We're going to get to that later. So he strikes out and he runs, right? And they run, and that makes him believe that he's got everybody fooled. He didn't have anybody fooled but them. So he gets back in his car and he sees people that are sitting on their porches and people that are looking out their windows and standing in the doorway of their houses, in the apartment complex and all that. He sees them looking at him, and that's exciting to him. He really got off on that. You understand? So he gets back in his car and he pulls off. And when he pulls off, he's laughing. That thrill of the hunt has set in, right? So now he goes back home and he starts planning the next time he's going to pull up in this neighborhood, right? So he's cruising around at night the next time, nighttime. He's cruising around and he sees some young women and he see them walking. They were all walking home from a party or something, right? And when he saw them, he pulls over up beside them. He didn't stop the car. He leaned out and he asked them, "Are you all right? Everybody good? Are y'all enjoying the nice cool air for the night?" And they were like, "Yes, officer. Yes, officer." And all this and that, right? He said, "Well, is anything going on out here that I need to know about?" So they looked at each other like, huh? Looked at each other and didn't understand that question, right? They was like, "No, ain't nothing going on." But they had a little attitude when they said something to him, right? So that pissed him off, right? He's in full character mode here, y'all. So that pissed him off. So he stopped the car. He said, "Hold up, y'all stop right here." He stops the car and he gets out. He said, "Y'all got any ID?" And they was like, yes, officer. Now, these are all young people. So they pulled out the IDs and they showed them the ID. And he tells me, he said, look here. He said, the next time an officer asks you a question, don't have no attitude. Because he said, I'm not going to be playing with y'all. He said, this is my area over here to patrol, and I'm going to be over here patrolling. You're going to see a lot of me. So that kind of spooked them. They were being polite. They were being obedient to the extent that, complying with whatever he was saying. So he gave them the ID cards, and they got, continued on with their walk, and he got back in the car and he left. And again, like he said, his excitement was building up. So now he wants to try something a little bit more, just a little bit more. So he come back a week or so later, right? He been watching. And like I said, he been in the penitentiary before, he been in the street before, so he can tell when somebody getting money. So he rides through. He ain't got on no uniform. He rides through, but now everybody's familiar with his car. But he rides through with no uniform on, and he sees people exchanging dope for money. He sees it. You see, this is who he wants. So he watches them, and he's surveilling them, man, like he's a real police. And he sees where they live and all this and that, right? And after about a good old month, he knocks on the door. Unannounced, knocks on the door, just pulls up like he's just an undercover or something. He knocks on the door and he says, I need to talk to your son. This is the mother. She steps to the door. I need to talk to your son. He has no idea if it's her son or husband or whatever, right? And she said, who are you talking about? He ain't got a name or nothing. He said, that young man that came into this house last night. And she said, oh, that's my husband. She's trying to be compliant. You understand what I'm saying? And she said, he's not here right now. He said, oh, okay, then I'll wait. So he walks right into these folks' apartment and sits down on the couch. No warrant, no nothing. And now she's spooked. But again, what did I tell you at the beginning of this? See, a lot of the people in this area are migrants. They don't have any documentation, so they can't really just call the police. So he's sitting there. And then her husband comes home and he sees him sitting on the couch and he gets spooked. So the fake officer, right, Tony jumps up and he grabs his fake gun. He said, hold, stop, right there. Sit down. And then the dude sits down on the couch. He's spooked. And he tells him, he said, look, I saw you last night out here selling drugs. He said, I'm not going to have nobody selling drugs in my neighborhood. I'm not going to have that. So the dude is looking at him like, man, what are you talking about? Now, he dirty. Now he got dope in his pocket now. He said, man, can you stand a pat down? Now, see, the Mexican brother, he hears the language. He hears how this dude is talking to him. He don't sound like no cop. He don't sound like no cop at all. But he tells him, he said, look, man, do you have a warrant? So when he said that, Tony got spooked. He said, I don't need no warrant. He said, yeah, you need a warrant. He said, are you here legally? And when he said that, it spooked the Mexican brother. So the Mexican brother gave him the response. He said, yeah, I am. He said, I've been here since I was a child. He said, where are your papers at? He said, I don't have to show you my papers. So Tony getting spooked now, but he got to go on with the move. So he closes the space between him and the Mexican brother and tells me, he said, look, he said, I'll be back. And when I come back, I'm going to have a warrant. And if you got anything in here, you're going to jail. So Tony leaves. He's spooked, but his adrenaline is flowing. He's excited about this. He think he's a real cop at this point. So the other Mexican brother that sees him when Tony comes out the apartment complex, he turns around and goes the other way. But as soon as he leaves, he goes into the house to talk to the Mexican brother. And the Mexican brother says, man, something ain't right about dude, man. So they go downstairs and they write down his license plate number. And then see, because they know somebody that work at the DMZ. You know what I'm saying? The DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, right? So they write that down. And they get them to research and they find out who dude is. They know who Tony is now. And he ain't no cop. But he come back through the neighborhood. So now they getting belligerent with it. But he's standing his ground. But he know he done burnt it with them. But now he's at the point, he said, because he still works his construction job, but he got to figure out a way, you know what I'm saying, to turn this into his hustle. So instead of getting these dope boys that know what's going on, he moves to this other neighborhood that's not too far from that neighborhood where a lot of Mexican people live, right? But he pulls up on some dudes that stand up on the corner, got a lot of females up on the corner, right? You know what they're doing. They're out there selling it. So he figured these going to be easy marks. So he watching them running in and out of this hotel. He sees what's going on, right? So he busts down on them when they go up in the hotel and pull his gun out and all that. Now, don't forget, this is a fake gun, so if they raise up, they're going to pop him. Ain't nothing they can do but shoot some water out of it, get killed up in there playing with these folks. You know what I mean? So anyway, he runs up in there and tells the police, you under arrest. They all get scared. The dude that's in the bed with the girl, he gets scared. He jump up. The girl grab the blankets and cover herself up. All this and that, right? You know how it go. So he tells them, get up. So they stand up. He got them on the wall. He let them put their underwear and all this stuff on. But he got these folks standing basically naked up on the wall like he a real cop. And he go through the man's pants and get his little money out and looking at his ID. Fake throw his ID, you know what I'm saying, on the bed. He take the money and put the money in his pocket. He sees, this Mexican brother sees him do that. When he put the money in his pocket, he asked her, he said, where your purse at? She pointed to the purse. She's scared. He got this pistol on them. And the pistol looks real. But it's not. They don't know that, though. So he goes through her purse and he gets this money. Then he leaves. He said, you say anything about this, I'm going to run you in. So he leaves. He get about 500 total from both of them. He gone. It's a good lick. Now they spooked. And he does this again and again and again. And now word is starting to spread about him. So in this other neighborhood where, like I was telling you about the Mexican brothers that was getting their money selling their dope, now they starting to talk about it. It must be the same dude. So it was a police officer that lived in the neighborhood, right? You know, a lot of these police officers, they'll live in these apartment complexes because they get a reduced rate because the people, they want a police officer to live there so they can kind of make the neighborhood a little safer, right? So it was this apartment complex that was in this Mexican area that this police officer lived in. He's hearing about it. So he tells his superiors about what's really going on out there and what he's been hearing. That's part of what he's out there for. You understand? Because they know people try to take advantage of the migrants over here. You feel what I mean? Because a lot of the migrants are scared to call the police and all that old kind of stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So here's the thing. So the police, now they trying to get Tony. But that when they get him, they want to get him right. They want to get him right. And they see that he's running in on these people that are prostitutes. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? So they set up a sting. They got the room wired up, and they got one of these Mexican female officers that work on the force. It's a Hispanic lady, right? You know, she looks young and all this. And then they got this other officer that's this white dude. You understand? They got this white dude. So they making sure they out there every day so he can see them. And they go into the room. But every time they go back to the room, he goes somewhere else. Now, time passes. And he finally gets them. He's bold now. I'm talking about he's bold. He got his nuts up to the point to where he feel like he really can do this continuously and not have to worry about ever getting caught. So he run up in the room one day. And he do the same thing. He got his pistol out. Get up. They stand up, right? Now they got their underclothes on too. You understand what I'm saying? They playing the role. So the woman, she asked, can I put my clothes on? He said, yeah. She putting her clothes on. Now, the white dude, the male officer, he starts to put his clothes on, but he don't even ask. So Tony said, what are you doing? He said, I'm putting my clothes on. Tony said, no, give me your pants. So he throws Tony his pants. He's standing there. He got on some shorts, though. He goes through his pockets. He gets his money and his ID out. He gives an ID card. Guess what the ID card says? It says his name, but he got a police ID card in there too, right? It says he's a police officer on the local force, right? So Tony looks at him. He's looking at Tony. And then the police officer, the white dude, the real police officer, he looks at the woman. She looks at Tony and she holds up her ID to let him know. Then she flashed her badge on him because she done put her clothes on and she flashed her badge. She said, we've been looking for you. He strikes out, he try to run, right? When he run, guess what? The whole hallway is full of the real police. They waiting on him. Ain't no getting away. Tony pop. Now they got him all on TV. Ex-con impersonating police gets busted in undercover sting. And he gets sent right back to the penitentiary, y'all. But this time, he didn't get a lot of time. But he got enough to let him know to leave the police alone. It's been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I say peace, y'all.
I've been trying to breathe underwater.